Hello and welcome to our Friday webinar with Dr. Tom Tully. Thank you, Dr. Tully, for joining
Hey,
us.
Laura. Hey, all of the webinar attendees out there.
Yeah,
Good to see you. Missed you last month, but
right. It's been a while. It feels like
back.
it's been
Yeah, yeah. It's been a little while. I think I've had a conference or two and a lot of cases. So,
That's right. You were traveling, I believe, right?
well, last month I had actually I was on a 4-hour Zoom call to review some grant applications and so proposals. And so that
Wow.
it was like to get everybody together, it only could occur, the planets aligned on that date from
Yeah.
12 noon here till 4 in the afternoon. So
That's too long to be on Zoom.
yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely,
well,
definitely.
if you're just joining our Zoom, let us know where you're coming from, what area of the country or world you are from. I'm gonna start. I'm actually in Fallbrook, near San Diego. I went camping with some goats last night.
Oh, wow. Well, you
Yeah.
could do yoga too at the
Well,
same.
I didn't do the yoga, but they it was fun. Yeah, it was really fun. And an alpaca with the really bad teeth, but very cute. So I'm
Well,
enjoying sunny weather here. Um,
yeah.
and
Well,
yeah,
I
so
was just going to say, it's we've been getting a lot of rain this year, which was this summer, and I thought, and actually the days are getting shorter, believe it or not, and going into the fall, but in the middle of summer right now, July, and so
right.
um, the dog days they call it, not the bird days, the dog days.
Yes, yes, that's right. It's the dog days of summer.
Yeah.
I think if I'm, I think we're gonna start with a photo share from Brenda. If I'm uh before we take some questions. Oh, if you have a question, just a quick reminder, use the Q&A button and not the chat feature because it's easier to see that way. Um, all right. Well, let's see. Are we okay. Well, I don't know if there's a photo that we're gonna share. I'm not sure if we're doing it. But right now, if we're
Yeah.
gonna let's see.
If we can get to the photo, we'll wait to share the photo to discuss the
Oh,
show.
here we go. Thank you, Brenda.
There
Oh,
it is.
oh,
Can we name this bird? Um, it's a little bird, and it's a goose, a little goose, a
oh,
gosling as they call them. And so, what is wrong with his eye? And if you look at the top of the picture, we were talking about it the last time we were on. I think you were mentioning as we were going into summer, we were talking about bee stings, wasp stings. Does that happen in birds? And I mean, do I see it? I mean, it's all possible. And if you go back to what I said at the time, I haven't reviewed what I said, but I kind of fondly remember what I said. It was like, well, I'm sure that we may have seen one over the years, but I can't remember actually having one come in recently or in this century. And so and that it's possible, but it's unlikely, and all of that good stuff that I normally say on the webinar. And so guess what happens whenever you start talking about things like that? Like the next week we have a call about this goose getting stung on the eye by a bee. Okay. Or it was a wasp, a bee or a wasp, but um, it was swollen, and and this little goose was stung. And when I heard the call that it was coming in as an emergency, I just said, "Oh, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it." We were just talking about that, and that's the beauty of this webinar, is that we have questions and comments and discuss different things, and then reality happens, and we're talking about cases and stuff. But we've had two bee or wasp stings since that last webinar. And again, the treatment, we treated it with diphenhydramine, and then we also used for allergic reactions, and then corticosteroid, and the little goose and our other patient did really well. And so but I just it was just so really humorous that not for the goose that got stung. I don't think when we get stung we ever think it's funny, but it was just like I said, humorous, the fact that no, we haven't seen one, I think, in the last 25 years or something like that, and then that I can recall. And then here you we may have one to come in on
Wow.
a conference or something, but yeah,
We'll be careful what we
beasting.
say this one, in case we say, have you had I don't know, some I'm trying to think of something random that would happen. And then
No, meteor strike or
yeah,
something. I
meteor
don't
strike.
know. I don't know. Let's don't tempt fate with that. Lord.
Well, so how long did it take that goose to recover? Is it once you
Oh, I mean, it was within a few hours. It was doing well.
all
The
right.
eye was already open, and so the treatment's rather effective, and it's similar to what if you were treated or had a response. It very very much similar to what humans. Yeah.
Good to know. Okay. All right. Let's see if we got okay, we have a question about a sun conure. Okay. Twinkle Toes. Love the name. 23-year-old keeps regurgitating on everything, like on furniture, toys, wood railing, perch, fruit. Has the cage on the floor when she's done with it. Wait. Oh, on the cage when she's done with it. Pretty much everything. Also, they fill the food dish. After eating, she throws it on the floor, breaks pieces up. They remove the food dish to stop it. She bites the dish. She also does self-pleasure. They've been to the vet. They've had blood work. They've done liver number fluctuate on the mildly high side. So the liver numbers fluctuate on the mildly high. The weight is the same because they check at home. They have an appetite. Any suggestions on what's going on with Twinkle Toes, the sun conure?
Well, I mean, just basically, I don't know what the exact concern is here, other than it's acting like a bird. Chewing on things, self-pleasure,
Regurgitating.
huh?
Regurgitating
Oh,
and
it's
everything.
regurgitating. Um, well, the one when you have if the regurgitating, and I asked that question just at the right time, didn't I, Laura?
Yes. Good.
That if the concern is the regurgitation, then I would the first thing is that when is it regurgitating, and how often, is there a cause and effect? Does it regurgitate after it does this, or with that, or is it just random? Does it just happen randomly? Because with a single bird, and it appears that the bird is very what I say, has pretty curious, and it's going around and investigating the different objects within its environment. That there is a possibility, if it's random from time to time, that it just has something that is not possibly, it doesn't agree with the bird, and it regurgitates. the other part of that is that you look at regurgitation, and this bird in and of itself is uh, regurgitating. You look at what may, if it isn't just something that is not necessarily mechanical, but it's just something that is upsetting to the bird's um, digestive system, and it regurgitates or irritates it. Then what are some of the other possibilities? And it appears, again, your veterinarian's doing a fantastic job, but you look at what could cause the regurgitation. And one of the things, you have a curious bird. It appears that, like I said, it investigates objects, and it's not shy about it in its environment based on what you're giving us. That one of the things that actually occur with regurgitation, what is, well, if the bird's regurgitating, one of the things, what could it be? And zinc toxicosis is one of them. And so if it had maybe ingested something zinc, or is exposed to something zinc, that it is getting too much of it, and there is a low level of zinc toxicosis. And so what do you do there? Is that if you get down to this point, these are all different options. It's not something you go in and do, because again, it just may be something that's upsetting the bird and it's doing well otherwise. Is that if you suspect, well, I think it may not be something that's just upsetting its GI tract. And so you would do a radiograph, you do x-rays, you do in the body to look and see if there is a piece of zinc in its GI tract. The one way to confirm, because metal can be toxic, and then metal isn't toxic. If it's a piece of stainless steel, then it's not going to be toxic. And so to confirm toxicosis, you get run a blood test to see if if it's zinc, and if it's zinc, it's a toxic level. That's what we do with lead. That's what we do with copper, because again, all metal is not toxic. And so that would be one issue. And then the other is, of course, we always get down to some of the microorganisms where you have bacteria. Bacteria could be, it may be a low level infection that results in inflammation, and that inflammation it can be cause the regurgitation. So that's where you do a crop swab and you do cytology. We call that cytology, and you look at the organisms. You do a stain on it, and then with that stain, you can kind of determine what the microbial flora are, and then you can do a culture to kind of identify that. And then they have the next generation sequencing that many people are using for difficult cases that we believe microorganisms are in there, but the traditional culture and sensitivity, which is only one environment and on one type of auger plate usually, and then they also broth, they subculture that. But they look at it, but it still misses many microorganisms that have very specific environments that they grow in or can be identified in. And this is where this next generation sequencing may be helpful. It's not 100%. It's where they sequence through DNA and technology to identify bacteria, and not only identify bacteria, but also be able to identify the possible sensitivity, the resistance of that bacteria, or intermediate. There's nothing that there's shown within the genetic code of that bacteria that was isolated that would denote resistance to that drug. So it's very helpful. Some of these next generation sequencing results, you're looking at a 4 or 5 page result, which not only describes the organisms that were identified, but it describes the number, what percentage was within there, and that one culture can look for fungus, bacteria, anaerobic, aerobic, and like I said, it's very helpful for some of the difficult cases in which the organisms may not be readily grown on kind of traditional methods of culture and sensitivity. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We have a question about a, okay. Can a green cheek conure and a half moon conure coexist in the same household? And since one is female, will they try to mate? So I'm assuming you have one male and one female, but they're of different conure species. One's a green cheek and one's a half moon.
Okay. What was the last question?
They want to know if they will try to mate
Okay.
and can they coexist?
One's a male and one's a female, correct?
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be opposite sexes for them to try to mate.
Okay.
And can they coexist? There is a possibility, and I'm just going to give you my humble opinion, is I see it, and so this is not something that's objectively, I'm not using any objective data. Oh, I know there's this study on green cheeks and half moons that have shown that they can coexist, or they cannot coexist. So my humble opinion on this, based just on, animal interactions, is that there is the possibility that they could coexist. Okay. And and it would be dependent upon the bird, individual birds, and the individual birds that affinity for one another, or growing affinity for one another. So as much as they could coexist, they could despise each other, and so you have to start off with that, and where it goes is dependent upon how much you would want to kind of observe the birds and work to see if they would be compatible, and then see if initially if this compatibility grows or not. So yes, theoretically they could and coexist. It can mean anything from one living in one part of the house and one living in the other, to living in the same cage together. And so it's that, that has to be determined. And and I would say that it should be determined only after, careful observation and in working to build that relationship, and to make sure that there's no really injury that can occur during that time. And I mean, we all have, many of us who've been involved with breeding and working with people who've had large aviaries know of cases where, and again, I've talked about it before, that, pairing up two birds doesn't mean that they'll be compatible. Okay. That's an arranged marriage, right? There's a reason that people, in facilities like Laurel Park, put 10 blue and gold males and 10 blue and gold females in a large flight, a very large flight, and have them pair up on their own. They have better success when the mates pick out each other, you know. And so you're just fortunate if you have two. Oh, I'm getting a bird from California, and then I'm getting a bird from, you know, North Carolina, and I'm going to meet and put them together in Kansas City. And hopefully these two umbrella cockatoos are, you know, they're both proven breeders, so it must work. Well, it doesn't work out that way all the time, and that's an arranged marriage. And hopefully, you know, but you say they look like each other. Why wouldn't they like each other? You know, well, there's something called personality. There's something called something in there that's real, and I've heard of birds, and you know, from owners that I know that have gone, the birds got out of a cage, they, you know, and kicked another one out. And
Oh,
that
wow.
pair has been, you know, the pair that was together weren't producing and hadn't been producing. And then a bird from another part of the aviary somehow gets out, you know, has figured out how to do this, gets the other bird out, and that pair's on eggs within, you know, a short period of time. And so you know, I say that now, you know, can a half moon and can they have fertile eggs, you know, as far as the, uh, uh, you know, as far as the hybridization
Yeah.
of those two, I'm not sure. But could they mate? Or, you know, I think that was it. Was it? Could they,
Yeah. Yeah. If
well,
they can mate, I guess,
they
yeah.
could perform the act of mating, you know, but whether it would be successful in producing a half moon green cheek hybrid, uh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that would be possible. The same as that you could get a, you know, a scarlet and a blue and gold together, you know, where you could get a young bird out of that, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, there
Yeah.
you go.
There you go.
That's
We have a lot of, we have conure. We always had like a bird species of the webinar, and this one so far has been conure. So let's see if we've. Uh,
yeah, it does. I mean,
yeah.
that's good. I mean, we try to hit them all over time.
Yes.
You
Well,
know?
now we got a new one. Now we got a little one. We got a question about a what would cause an enlarged preen gland on a finch, and what can be done to treat it. So it's got a enlarged preen gland. Sorry,
Yeah.
little finch.
Well, the preen gland or uropygial gland is on the really the what we call the dorsal surface, or the back of the bird, all the way down to the tail. And you know, some birds don't have the uropygial glands, like Amazon parrots, for instance, and that kind of reduces any issue that they may have with praying glands. So
Just go.
I don't have to worry about that, you know. And so um, the preen gland, I always say, you know, when you're looking at the preen gland or looking for the preen gland, that in some birds it's easier to see and others it's not. And one way to find the preen gland, if you're trying to look for it, it's a bilobe structure, and it gland, and then it has a papilla, kind of a papilla that comes out of that bilobe gland that has a little tuft of feathers coming kind of out of that. And this is and so that's kind of like the exit spout of the preen gland material, but it's not round. It has little pores that come out of that spout that the the glandular material, which is kind of preen gland and waterfowl. It helps with the waterproofing of feathers, but in general, it helps with the grooming and the feather, I guess, quality of the feathers with the preen gland. However, it may have more of if the preen gland isn't there on a waterfowl, it has possibly could affect its waterproofing of the feathers, and therefore affect its ability to survive in those situations with say like finch or parrots. It shouldn't have any really life-threatening effects if it isn't there. But if you have it enlarged, then it's also something that is part of the physical exam, because it can cause, like, possibly be an underlying cause of feather destructive behavior if it is impacted, which is one reason you can have this in budgerigars, your little parakeets, your budgies. It could be impacted. You could have tumors, cancer, squamous cell carcinoma is something that's not uncommon in little budgies, and so it can become infected. So you have impaction, infection, tumors. This is all part of what could be enlarged. And if you don't look for it on a physical exam, which it should be part of the complete physical exam, this may be an underlying problem of why a bird may have some kind of a behavior issue. Now, and particularly parrots. And looking at this, so you go like, well, sometimes it's more difficult to find them than not. And so what I always say is, on the uropygial gland, if you have the body of the bird here, the bird's body. Oh, I can't. The bird's body's here, and this is the tail. If you bend the tail down, the pygostyle down, that uropygial gland on the dorsal surface will be right here.
Interesting.
Usually you can find it right here. Now, if you, and sometimes, and it can be embarrassing for a veterinarian if they're trying to find the cloaca on a bird, and especially like on a goose or some type of a waterfowl, where it's just like this thick blanket of feathers, and it's like, well, where's the opening where it poops and stuff, and so you're looking, and it's hard to find because it's rather small, but it's under all this down and everything like that. Well, when the bird's like this, and this is the tail, and you do this, and the uropygial gland's up here, you do just the opposite, and you turn the tail up. It's like on a hinge, and if you turn it up, right there underneath is where the opening to the cloaca is. So that's how you can somewhat quickly find the cloaca and the uropygial gland. And on heavily feathered birds, it can be challenging sometimes. It's like, Doc, you can't find the cloaca? Well, where did you learn medicine? So anyway, but the things that could be causing it, but if most of the time, if it's a tumor or a cancer, it's bloody, and it's just not enlarged, but it's bilobed, and those lobes, if you look at the uropygial gland, the lobes should be symmetrical, so they should be the same size on each side. They should be the same size. But if one gets really big, well, then that's, of course, an impacted uropygial gland. And with those, what is you have to determine, is it infected? Is it just look at the papilla? Is there something wrong with the pores that release that the uropygial gland material, or is it infected? And so that's what has to be kind of determined and you can test to see if it's infected. And as I mentioned, if it's a tumor, usually it's ulcerated, it's bleeding, it's there's the integrity is compromised on the uropygial gland because of the growth of the cells and everything on that. But if it is impacted, again, looking at the papilla, trying to clear the papilla, you can try to clear it through pressing on and manipulating the glandular, the bilobe structures on the side. If it's infected and impacted, sometimes what we'll do is on the lobes, we'll make an incision right over the middle of that uropygial gland, that lobe that's enlarged, and then we'll clean out those lobes. And if we think there's an infection, culture that. If we believe we need a biopsy that, and then we'll clean it out, and then flush and then let it heal on its own. We won't put any sutures in there. It'll just heal on its own. And hopefully from what we're doing with that, if we need to treat with some type of an antibiotic because of an infectious process, we'll do that. And if not, then usually it'll do fine, heal and recover. So yeah, that's a little finch. But when I'm thinking about it and talking about it, I'm thinking of conures with this, budgies with this, African grays with this.
Yeah, but not Amazons.
Not Amazons. No, I'm not.
They don't have it.
No.
Oh,
Found a lot of other things with Amazons, but not that. Yeah. Oh, I saw a beautiful yellow front Amazon today. Yeah, beautiful. And a 14-year-old yellow front Amazon. It was it said hello when I took it out of the carrier. It was
wow. So it's happy to see you. That's good. Yeah, you see, your clientele can actually speak to you.
Yes, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we have a question about a 9-year-old budgie, right? We're doing a little guy again. So his head has been molting since March. So they want to know why would that be and what can they do about it? They've been giving him less light for 2 weeks, but have not seen an improvement yet. So imagine like you got some molting head feathers. Is that normal? What can they do about it? What's your suggestion?
Yeah. Well, I would say if the bird's on a good diet, a reasonable diet, and and a good place, as far as its general environment is concerned, that when you're saying, molting head feathers since March.
Yep.
And so I'm taking it that you see pin feathers. So you're having pin feathers on the head, because that's pretty much, you're not going to have, featherless areas on the head, patches. And so you're seeing just a number of pin feathers on the head, and you've continued to see that since March. I would say that I wouldn't be concerned about that. Unless you had featherless patches. Sometimes you'll notice that you'll have more of a keen awareness. And I'm saying this if there's nothing else, if everything else is normal, good body weight, the bird's doing fine, eating, pooping normally. Otherwise, good. But yeah, some of these smaller feathers, and especially the head and neck area, take a while for those feathers all to come in. And so they're not going to all fall out at one time. Boom. And you go like, ah, my bird has a bald head. I don't know what to do, And so that wouldn't be good in the wild either. And so it's just kind of like they're going to molt in over time. And if you can imagine how many feathers are on that head, and if you have a significant number of them that are regrowing that year, it's going to take some time. And I can tell you, my little Senegal, and I'll get out and I'll rub its head. And I mean, it's a wonderful bird. The head and neck feathers, I start getting pin feathers and seeing pin feathers about the same time you do. And I just took them out, a couple of days ago, and there's still pin feathers there, and they'll be there until probably September, October, and then, the winter, he's got a, it's just in that part of the body, it just takes a little bit longer in my observation. And I'm saying this with all things normal, otherwise normal on the bird. But that's a good point and good observation, because it's interesting to me. I've kind of noted that. I'm going like, dang,
Yeah.
it's sure and this is year after year. I say those pin feathers. When he starts molting, it's an extended. And that's because not all of the feathers are leaving at one time, and when the new ones come in, that it's going to be obvious, because they're sheathed, and
Yeah.
so great,
Well,
great,
I
thank
had
you.
my
That's a good comment, good question.
my budgie friend that had he would have pin feathers on his head, and I just wanted to, gently break them open, but he was like a hands off my head kind of bird.
Yeah.
And so I would just look at him every day and I go, I could break those open for you, but um so
I
I
could
just had to let him,
help. I could, yeah.
yeah.
Expedite the process, right?
Yeah, yeah. And yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, so I could feel that, like, I just, you just want to go in there and get but
yeah. But it takes a little time, and so it's not. No, I would say that's not unusual. And so
okay.
I wouldn't the lighting or anything. I wouldn't mess with that.
Okay. And we have a question about another little bird. Fishers love birds. So they have so they say my fishers love birds, and my budgerigars, my budgies, they eat vegetables, but they're not into fresh or dry fruits. Any
Mhm.
suggestions to make them get used to fresh or dry fruits? They're African collared doves only eat seeds, and are they supposed to eat vegetables and fruits? And if yes, what types? So we have three different types of birds going on here. We've got
Yeah.
the lovebirds, the budgies, and the African collared doves. With
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Um, it gets to, what I always say as far as, we kind of, when we mention things, we have a tendency to kind of put them together. And you're going like, what in the world does that mean? When we mention things, we kind of have time to put things together, like horse and carriage. Okay. That, horse and carriage goes together, but they're two different things, right? You can have a horse without a carriage and a carriage without a horse, right? And so we say fruits and vegetables. Well, two different classifications right there of produce. All right. Vegetables are one thing, fruit is the other, right? I mean, and so they don't necessarily go together, you know. They're in the same area of the food store, right? But they're different things, and and we eat fruit, um, and I don't think anybody goes, well, I'm going to eat fruit. Well, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, just take a apple and stay away from the doctor. But the thing is that we eat fruit because it tastes good. And because why does it taste good? Because it's basically sugar and water. Okay. And so if there's some, you can look at, well, there's some fiber in there, and there's some vitamins, vitamin C and citrus or what have you, and maybe some vitamins in the skin of an apple or what have and but it's minimal, when you look at what a vegetable brings to the table, just keeping it all right. And so, um, and so if you have vegetables, you're going to have more vitamins and minerals generally than you will have with fruit, which is more sugar and water, and which makes it taste good. And so, if the birds aren't eating fruit, or dried fruit, which is maybe a little bit more nutritious than fresh fruit, because you have the water out of it, and so it's more concentrated. Um, but if they're not eating, I wouldn't get too upset about it. I'd see it more as a treat than not. If they're eating vegetables as part of a diversified diet, then that's great. That's better than if they're not eating, if they're eating fruit and not vegetables, in my thought process there. So that's and there was something else to the question there, Laura.
The question about the African collared doves, they only eat seeds, so they
Yeah.
want to know if they're supposed to eat vegetables and fruits, and if so, what type. So, I guess my question that I have, can an African collared dove only, like, is the seed only diet appropriate for a dove?
Yeah, I mean, they're granivorous animals. They're columbiform, so they're granivorous animals. And if you look at racing pigeons, or you look at kind of a similar classification of bird, they the doves, pigeons, for the most part, require some form of grit. And if you look at dove food, they may, if they sell it, but it would be, they could possibly sell pelleted dove food, but I don't know on a commercial level that you're going to get it. But if you look at pigeon food is for the most part all seed. Okay. And so it's dried seed, and they provide grit for those pigeons to grind that seed down within the ventriculus or gizzard, and so that's what the doves are. Would they eat other things? Yes, I would. I'm sure that they would, but for the most part, these are seed-eating birds. Corn, soybeans, um, milo, sorghum, things like that. You look at dove, I haven't looked at dove food. And now I think that there's probably commercial entities that sell pelleted dove food.
Mm.
but I'm not sure on that, but no. So primarily seed eating birds. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Question about conures. Someone wants to know, John wants to know, when does hormonal behavior end for conures? And also, it seems like the poor bird is always molting. So how often should this be happening? How often should a conure molt? And do you know approximate time frame from when a hormonal behavior would end for a conure during the year? Are there
You,
seasonal?
you know, um, with citizens in general, um, hormonal behavior can, just my thought. I don't think that it can. There's a specific like hormonal behavior in a canary being more active in um, in the winter than
Mhm.
the summer. So you're having, they'll be laying in the winter and they won't be singing and they'll be molting in the summer. Long days, short days. This is somewhat similar to chickens. Okay. Citizens, not so much, with these birds, and kind of evolution, I've seen, citizen species lay eggs year round, so hormonal activity. Now, what you may see, and I take that with Amazon. Amazon parrots seem to be, in my experience, at least in South Louisiana, Gulf Coast area, um, hormonal in the spring. I don't know if that's seen across the world, but they seem, in the birds that we had back in, we used to have a number of people breeding and having Amazons and the 80s and the 90s and kind of growing, but it seemed like if especially a male Amazon was going to get hormonal and go Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, is loving, 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 and then the next thing you know, we have the owner. This is comes in and the Amazons bit him in the face, and I mean when we talking a bite, we're talking a bite, okay, and so why is he coming to see me? Because he actually hit the Amazon off the face because of a reaction. And all's well that ends well, but it was the Amazon, and so I saw more of that hormonal activity. I don't know if it everywhere, but I just they seem to lay and be more active in the spring. And what I'm saying, spring, February to maybe June.
Mhm.
Um, and with the other birds, um, I can say my Derbian was a little bit more hormonal in in the spring, summer months, but it just seemed like it was more active during that time. But I would say that there's in general, there's not so much of a time frame with citizens. And this bird was particularly a conure, I think.
Yeah,
And
conure.
I would say that it there may be periods of increase, or you may see a period of increase if you took a 12-month period and said, well, this, if you just observed it, it seems kind of over a yearly, if you have in multiple years, you've observed it, that it's more active during this time,
Mhm.
but still active all year. If you see that, there's some level peaks and there's some lower levels, but still active all year. That's my general. And then if it's under the right circumstances, environment, mate, whatever, they're laying eggs all year. Like a cockatiel. I mean, I cockatiel is like, boom, it's a machine, you know. I don't know how they do it. And then the other thing was molting. Well,
Yeah, it seems to be
you look,
molting all year.
yeah, I
Or
can tell you I have feathers in my bird's cage all year. All year.
yeah.
There's never going to be a time where it's like we have the southern magnolia down here. Okay, it's our state flower in Louisiana, and it's a tree that sheds leaves all year.
Mm,
You know, it's an evergreen.
yeah.
Okay, it's an evergreen, but it sheds leaves all year. It's a broad-leafed evergreen, southern magnolia, Magnolia grandiflora, and and it's somewhat like birds. Birds are losing feathers all year. If you have birds, you always have feathers in the cage, right? Or the flight or what have you.
I like our hair that
Yeah,
sheds.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. But however, there are certain periods of the year, and I say in the spring and the fall, where you have more, you have an increase in the amount of molting. But when you look at the bird, it still has all its feathers, you see. And that's just all part of the maintaining a quality feather
There you
coat,
go.
if you
You know,
will.
it's a fun project to do is I used to save for like the full year every feather my conure molted,
I
and
love it.
I reconstructed his body based on
I
like
love it.
I hot glued him to like a big cardboard, and it looked like when a bird hits a window, almost like but you could see the whole body shape, like all the flight feathers, the tail feather. It's a
Oh,
fun project.
I
If you
love
have,
it. I love it.
highly
Uh,
recommend it. It's really fun. Yeah, yeah.
oh, well,
Rebuild your bird feather.
oh
Even
gosh,
the head feathers. Yeah, there you go.
that's great. I mean, that's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It takes a while. You have a baggie full of feathers, but then it's like doing a puzzle, but you're doing with your bird's feathers, and you
Mhm.
find the head feathers, and get all the not the down feathers.
You
Those
know,
are
like the primary flights, the long primary
yes.
flights, you'll see, oh, like, whoa, they're so
Tail
long.
feather. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
then, equal side, equal left wing, right. It's anyway.
yeah.
I have another question for you about a canary. I better get this over. The canary used to sing a little bit in the morning, but doesn't do it anymore, and not at all. So, do you know what can help him sing again? We got a canary that used to sing, and now it's not singing in the morning.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, this is my thought. I'm saying, and this is an excellent question because I have, this has dealt with this uh, a, a number of times. And I'm taking it that the canary used to sing, but now we're talking July 25th that it's not singing. And so this is normal, okay? Because the canaries will start singing, your canary will start singing again when it's about October or November, okay?
Wow.
Because right now your canary should be molting and getting ready for being looking sharp or smart, wherever you want to say, and for the uh, the mate. And so at this point, the canary's molting and should not be looking smart or sharp and does not feel like singing because he's not going to impress anybody. And so what happens is that canaries will be, in the short day when breeding season is, and with canaries in the winter, this is when they have canary shows for the most part, is when they look their best. And so they'll be singing at that time, showing off, trying to impress. But when the days get long, then they'll start molting, and it's not not breeding season, and they're not looking for a mate, and so they stop singing. That is my my thought on that.
Okay, that's amazing. I've never that's fascinating. I had no idea. That's
Yeah,
is it mostly male? It's mostly male canaries that sing. Are they the ones that
yeah,
are doing
yeah.
the
Hmm.
do
Yeah.
so I'm gonna tap your canary knowledge here for a sec. Do the females will sing much at all, or depends on the breed of? Is it breeds for canaries or species? It's
It's
yeah.
probably breeds like, water sloggers, things like
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. And some have different songs and sing better, and Norwich, Gloucester, all different types of. I guess you would call them types,
Okay,
as
yeah.
opposed to breeds.
Maybe
You
Brenda. Yeah.
on that. So, but I don't, fact check me on that one. Or
No,
no, always fact check me.
I'm googling you as we talk. So I know.
Please, oh, don't take my word for it. Look at it.
Oh, no
Anyway,
bird words. Types.
but
Yeah, that's right.
I'm
Brenda's
sure
like
that
types. I
the
knew canaries were a little bit different. They weren't like species, but I think types.
yeah, I
Yeah, the type.
think it's
Okay.
kind of tight,
All right. I shouldn't have used breeds out there because we're always talking
Um,
about bird species, not breeds.
yeah, and I'm sure the female has some vocalization, but not like the males. And that's similar. I was talking to someone yesterday, and mentioning about um, finding out, like a male budgie versus a female budgie, and the vocalization on the males versus the females, and
Ah,
uh, and then I had mentioned this cockatiels. I had a female cockatiel, just happened to have those, and I had plenty of eggs too, and so the female cockatiel was vocal, and if there's anything within 100 yards of the house, she would, all of the female, I had two or three, would start, chirping and stuff, and I just didn't have a male cockatiel, and I had a cockatiel breeder once tell me that he couldn't tell the difference sex wise on a heavy pied bird, because it didn't have the phenotypic markings like a like a normal male to female with the feather markings, and then it wasn't sex linked like pearl. And so he said I would just put the birds in cages, and I'd sit and I'd over time and just watch them. And he said I could sex them by how they vocalized and how active they were. The females would just look at the males making fools of themselves on the side, vocalizing and doing all this stuff. And the active vocal birds were the males, and the ones that were a little bit more, uh, reserved were the females. And he was very successful in doing that. And so, yeah, it kind of is across in certain bird species where you see that.
wow.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's the male. Yeah, the cockatiel male. I used to I had one just very big whistler.
Oh yeah,
Love to whistle. and,
and the
and
problem
bang.
is,
Tap 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 whistle.
with the cockatiels, it's like a broken record, right? They
Yeah.
just whistle the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over.
The wolf call though. They definitely know that one down pat. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh man. I gotta announce today's winner. We have a giveaway winner. And so we're approaching the end of July, and that's when the new flavor, the special flavor of Nutri-Berries goes away. That's the apple Nutri-Berries. So we're gonna give that out to Janet Greenman. Congratulations, Janet. And you
Yeah,
also get a
yeah.
Lafeber product of your bird's choice. So I hope that makes your fab this weekend more fabulous. Uh, let's see. So wait, before I also have to announce. So we're gonna have a webinar. Gosh, are we rolling into August already? Oh my.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
Christmas is just around the corner.
we're getting there. I swear to goodness, you're gonna like. I'm already seeing Halloween stuff pop up in stores, which
Oh
always makes
yeah.
me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I did. I did. I have seen that.
I know. Wow. I guess we got to get more and more Halloween decorations for the next 2 months. So another note. So we're gonna be on next Friday. Is that already August 1st with Pamela Clark, and she's gonna do a an interesting webinar topic, and that's gonna be on creating a diet that nurtures behavior, health, and enrichment. So the diet in behavior enrichment connection she's going to cover. And then this is the biggie. That's a biggie. They're all biggies. This is an even biggie. We're going to be celebrating the 200th webinar on August 8th. So
Can you
yes.
see?
So you got to
That's
join us for
cool.
that. We're gonna have hopefully we're gonna have all of our fabulous guests who are featured guests like Dr. Tully. We're gonna have Dr. Lamb all pop in. Actually, but Dr. Lamb's gonna kind of co-host with me, but join us because we're gonna have giveaways. We're gonna see familiar faces, and we got to 200 with you, Dr. Tully. Like you helped. I don't even know how many you've done with us, but I know it's a lot. It's a lot of these sessions. So
Well, the reason is because we have such wonderful people that attend these webinars and have fantastic questions in which we all learn. I mean, that's the key. It's the
yes.
people, that it's we're all learning, and the bird owners with fantastic questions, and I mean, like today, I mean, again. Thank you for all of the
Absolutely.
questions. But Laura, it's Brenda, you, and the Lafeber company. I mean, for coming up with this idea all the way back in COVID. Now we can say that
Yeah.
it's getting on 5 years since that, and we're still going, which is great. And a
Yeah.
big thank you to everybody for that. And that's
Yeah,
uh,
like you mentioned, we wouldn't be here with people if people didn't join us. So,
yes,
so the
indeed.
viewers,
That's what I'm saying. I
yeah,
mean, that's where the questions come from that are so helpful, in which we all learn. And
yeah,
look forward to more of the, more questions, and learning together for the years to come.
yes, yes. And Brenda's mentioned this in the chat, but yeah, we're gonna have another big announcement on that 200th webinar on August 8th, as well as giveaways. So don't miss it.
Pumpkin spice, is that it?
Oh no, I don't know. I don't know. Something major is going to be announced, and I gotta, you gotta join it. You're gonna have to join us now, Dr. Tully, so you can find out.
Well, the one thing I want to say is that I'm going to Mobile, Alabama, the Gulf South Cage Bird Society, or the South Alabama Cage Bird Society is having their big bird exotics fair tomorrow. And so if anybody, I know we have people from all over the country, world attend, but anybody in that part of the Gulf Coast. I just want to say that's a fantastic bird club, and they put on a great show. So
There you go.
yeah,
If you're within
tomorrow
driving
and
distance,
Sunday.
join Dr. Tully tomorrow if
Yes,
if you're within a
in
stone's throw.
Mobile, Alabama.
All right.
Beautiful place. Yeah.
All right, guys. I'd rather everyone get off to the weekend is ahead, and hope to see everyone next Friday, and and hopefully see everyone on August 8th, our big 200, and we'll see you, Dr. Tully, then too.
Yes. Look forward to it. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Laura, so much. And see you then.
All right, guys. Have a fabulous weekend. All the best to you and your flock. Stay safe. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.